All right, guys, we are back. Dynamic Man Podcast, episode 50. Are you looking to say no? We are live, guys. We are live. I am just going to retweet this. So we got a good show today. I did a show on Friday, as I told some of you guys. And of course, Twitter happened to be down, and I was like, what is going on? And at first, I actually started to do the show. And then I'm like, "You know what? I don't wanna I wanna have more live folks on here. I wanna have my X community on here." I love my YouTube community, but I love my X community, of course, as well. This is a really important video also because this is really an epidemic in dating today. It's probably one of the most, I think it's the biggest reason that women are not getting together anymore. And it happens from both women and from men. It's it really is an epidemic. In fact, I was just on a call with a client right before this, that's why I'm a little bit late, and, there were elements of this in his situation too. I have had to talk clients off the edge with this kinda stuff, and I have experienced firsthand their own problems with women who similarly have this attitude that, well, basically, that they are not trying to make things work. So this is what I wanna talk about. Red flags have become a very popular topic. Everybody wants to talk about red flags. It's like you gotta learn about the new red flag. This is a red flag. That's a red flag. First off, most of the people who are ascertaining most of these red flags are not red flags, okay? Or they're only red flags in certain contexts. The thing to understand when it comes to vetting is that if you do not if you do not have, while you're vetting, um, an understanding of why someone did something or why someone, the context in which someone went through something, that is what matters. I've talked about this before with notch counts. I don't want to every guys get fucking triggered with this stuff. What's the context in which a woman's sexual history occurred? Did she learn anything from it? Did she continue doing it? Right? If a woman was with her first boyfriend and she loved him and he cheated on her, they broke up, and then she went over the course of a year and she slept with 10 guys. That's a lot of guys, right? But a lot of women, when they go through some sort of traumatic event, promiscuity is a very common way to deal with the loss of love. And I think it's done for 2 reasons. I think they do it on one hand, maybe 3 reasons, let's say. They do it to escape, just to escape from the feeling, to numb themselves in some other kind of high or novelty. I think they do it to get back at the other guy. It's kinda like, "Oh, well, I'm gonna I'm gonna degrade myself to sort of, ruin me for you." But I also think it on that related note, it's often, self-esteem related. But if that's not the trend of her life, that's something that she then learns from, right? These are relevant points when it comes to a red flag. There's a big difference between a woman who's literally unconsciously the town bicycle, cheated on her exes. Well, he was an asshole. That's why I did it. Not make this woman has learned nothing. There's major red flags. So context and why always matter. Most of the stuff that you see going around the internet, though, is just she's a red flag if she. It's a red flag if she does this. It's a red flag. It's a red flag if she has a job. It's a red flag if she doesn't have a job. It's a red flag if you know. It's a red flag if she. I don't even fucking know if she wears too much makeup. I don't even know what the fuck these things are. If you guys want to drop some red flags in the comments for me. I'll go through them. Drop some red flags in the comments. But here's the thing. If you're looking to say no, you can find a reason to say no. It's really easy to find a reason to say no. it is really easy to find something that you can hang your hat on and say, "Oh, that's it." Like client I was just talking about, um, his girlfriend's making all sorts of issues when it comes to marriage because, you know, he was married before and he's looked at porn. I mean, no kids, annulled marriage, short marriage, um, and had porn use in the past. Stop using it since they were in the relationship. This is like freaking her out. She's looking to say no. She's got a really great guy, and she's looking to say no. And that's the thing. We're in a really, really neurotic, anxious society. That's what it is. All your Twitter bros online, all these guys who are talking and saying like, "Oh, we're I'm not settling. I'm not settling for some Western woman who's been washed up, who's been sleeping around. I'm not settling for this." You're not fucking settling for anything. You're not getting anything because you are looking to say no. And if you ever happen to meet a woman who checked every single box, you'd be so head over heels you would never be able to keep her. But even then, guys will find some reason to say no. Honestly, they'll find some reason to say no. She gave some guy a hand job in 11th grade. She's a slut. Okay. Whatever. Whatever. I'm tired of it. I want to see a little bit more recklessness. I want to see people looking to say yes. How do you say yes to a girl? Let me give you my 3 points, my little heuristic here. 3 points. Are you attracted to her physically? Yes. Do you guys share the same values? Yes, right? And are you going the same direction? Are you going the same direction in life? Do you enjoy being with her? If you find her physically attractive, if you enjoy spending time with her, and she has similar values and is going the same direction, you've got yourself a keeper. You really do. You have yourself a keeper there. And because it's not common to find all three of those in a woman. Most guys are just looking at looks. Looks are the main thing that matter. And looks do matter. They absolutely matter. But they're getting hung up on that. But then once they get that, then the other stuff comes in to like disqualify it, right? Which is why we have thresholds in these categories. Does she cross the threshold? But if you enjoy spending time with a woman and you're physically attracted to her and you basically want the same things more or less in life, right? Shared values and vision. And let's add the bonus on here too. Growth attitude, self-reflection, humility, right? I don't give a fuck what happened in her past if a woman has those 4 criteria. I really don't care, and you shouldn't care either. You should not care at all. Because if you care about anything else that does not compromise those 4 points, within reason, right? There can be logistical reason. Okay, she's a single mom. She's got kids. You don't want to take care of other person's kids. Okay, fine. Maybe that comes into play. Some guys care about that, some don't. But the point here is that when we're talking about I don't want to say abstract, but like things that happened in the past that don't have any material impact on the present or the future because of the way that they've been properly processed, it doesn't matter. Start looking to say yes. The whole thing at the manosphere these days has become in the adjacent, neurotic Femisphere, the entire thing has been about how do you avoid anything bad ever happening to you? How do you avoid ever settling, ever making a mistake? And there is a complete lack of awareness that refusing to move forward to your goals because you're looking for perfect, putting aside what it says about you if you think that you're so perfect that you deserve perfect. Those are the guys who are like super critical about this stuff, have not led particularly righteous lives themselves. But even putting aside all of that, what we are talking about here, what we're talking about here is um, we are talking about guys who say they want a family, say they want to have a wife and kids, and they are not looking for the positive traits in women. They are only looking at the negative ones. They have, in general, a focus and orientation towards the negative in life. And what do they get? They get negative outcomes. You focus on the negative, you get negative. I'm going to tell you this. When you're in a relationship with a woman, the good in a relationship with a woman, when I say the good in a relationship with a woman, every woman is going to have some bad parts to her. And when I say bad, I don't mean like morally bad, perhaps, but I mean like annoying, like things that make her a little bit like a bitch. And part of the way that you help a woman to grow and develop is to love those portions of a woman. You love them. You love her. Doesn't mean you don't call them out. Sometimes they need to be called out, but the point is you love them. You love her holistically because you see her potential. That's how you make a woman fall in love with you. You see her potential. You don't even see how beautiful she is right now. You see how you can catalyze her to become even more beautiful inside, to become even more magnificent. Because you can see her wounds, you can see the parts of her that have been neglected by other men. You can bring love to those parts of her that are hurting. You can help to heal it. I'm not just saying save a woman, okay? It's not save a hoe. But I mean, you have those 4 criteria, right? You're physically attracted to her, you get along really well with her. You guys want the same things. And there's a level of growth and introspection capacity, right? You've got that in a woman. You have that in a woman, there's nothing stopping you, like, any kind of wound or issue or bad experience that she had that you can see still haunts her a bit, you're the man who loves her in spite of that. And that part of her becomes even less of a problem then when you do that. But if you come in with judgment and you say, "Oh, she has a little bit of a past, or she did this thing, or this thing happened to her." A lot of times it's not even something that the girl did. It's just something that happened to her. And I'm not trying to take away female agency because that's a common thing that women do. But sometimes a woman is okay, she's single at 30. Oh, well, she obviously fucked up. She obviously made bad choices. Uh, there are women who were like in 2 relationships throughout their 20s and had virtually no casual sex. And they're single in their 30s because a relationship or 2 that lasted many years, 5 plus years, fell apart. Now, you could get into why did it fall apart? But a lot of times it's because there's a guy who didn't move things forward. The main reason a woman's gonna break up with a guy at that point is because he's not serious about moving things forward with him. So, I wanna see you guys make take more risks, because in order to get anything good in life, you are going to have to be willing to suffer some consequences, some losses. You're gonna have to be willing to potentially have the girl that you're dating have things not work out. You have to even take the risk that maybe you're gonna get divorced at some point, because you can't control everything in life. You minimize the risk of that. I think if you vet properly, if you pick a good woman, the self-awareness portion being especially key, because it's self-correcting, I think you can reduce divorce risk to 5% in a marriage. But the point here is that, I worked with one guy who, he was in his late 30s. He started dating a woman who was in her, um, kinda like early mid-30s, about 5 years younger than him, and she had definitely had some baggage in the past. Um, she at one point had some mental health issues, she had some tattoos, very, bad stuff on the surface. However, her mental health was actually at this point, she had been, like, much better for many, many years, and it reflected in the relationship. They'd been together for 2 years, there's never any issues, right? But he was so afraid. He's so but she wanted to move forward, obviously wanted things to move forward to marriage, and he was very, like, hesitant, dragging his feet, even though he really wanted to be married with kids. But it was like, there was always some thing, she has to agree to this, okay, she has to agree to this, very, very slow making decisions on stuff. Kept trying to encourage him, I'm like, "You can't, this is very unromantic for a woman." I wanna make this point because when you as a man, I don't know if in the end how things are gonna work out with them, but the last I heard was, um, he was trying to get, like, a really strong prenup. It's not, he didn't, I honestly felt like some of the stuff that he was asking for was probably above and beyond what was reasonable. Because, he wanted her to be a housewife, but to have no have none of the money, have access to none of the money. I was like, "Dude, if you're gonna do that, you have to at least pay her a salary." That's how guys do it. That's how all the women who accept the sort of housewife wife role without shared assets. Like, I think prenups are totally legitimate when you come in. So if you come in with relatively more than her, let's say beyond a 2-to-1 ratio of assets, I think a prenup is perfectly reasonable for what you have going into the marriage. I think under 2-to-1 ratio, it's just like, what's the fucking point? Like, you're not that far off from each other, right? But to have a prenup on everything you earn later on, that only should apply in cases when you have, like, a company of your own, you are making tons of money, right? You're a millionaire plus, then you have a different story. Then there can be a complete separating of assets if she comes in with nothing. But you're paying for everything and you're not thinking of, you don't really care about what she's spending in that case, because so there's no control over the finances so much. I mean, there isn't, right? But if you don't have that kind of, like, financial abundance, then putting those kind of restrictions on, like, equity and stuff like that, it doesn't really come across very well. And you have to think about, what kind of relationship are you trying to create? There is there is trying to find out if you can trust a woman. But at a certain point of figuring out if you can trust somebody, you actually are the one who's acting mistrustful. You're the one who's actually creating a bad faith environment. Because think about this for a second. Let's say we're friends. I want to make sure I can trust you. So every time you leave my house, I make sure that you empty your pockets. I wanna see what's in your pockets, make sure you didn't take anything from my house. Okay? What kind of dynamic does that create between 2 people? Does that create a good dynamic between 2 people? No, it obviously does not do that. It makes you look like somebody like, I don't wanna be around this person doesn't trust me." When someone trusts you, you wanna trust them. That's why when I talk about, tenet 3 of being a dynamic man, when I talk about operating in good faith, I'm always talking about extending trust to people and being willing to get bitten, right? Now, you extend trust in little ways first and see how they respond to it so that if you lose out, if they respond in a negative manner, if they respond with bad faith, you lose very little, right? 99% of like scammers, and I use that in the romantic sense too, romantic scammers are not going to be able to manage that going all the way to marriage. They're gonna show their hand at some point if you're doing this correctly. But when you start to only extend bad faith, when you extend mistrust, well, they're not gonna trust you. So she's gonna be less attracted to you. She's gonna feel less, like when you go to pick a woman, what you're really saying is, I believe in you and me. I want you, but I want us too. I believe that you are gonna make my life better, and I wanna go someplace with you. I wanna take you on the adventure I'm going on. That's the attitude that you bring to a woman. Women love that. They get to be along for the ride, having fun, but also being, part of the creative process. They're contributing. They feel it. They feel valuable. They feel wanted. They feel included. But when you say, all right, well, I'm open to getting married, but you're gonna have to like you're not gonna have any equity in anything, and you're gonna have to stay home with the kids, and everything's gonna be mine. And and also I'm just not sure that about this. I'm not sure about this about you. I'm not sure about this. What the fuck does she want to be with you for? What the fuck would she want to be with you? Because the way that you're going about doing it is making her feel like she is not a valuable person. She's feeling like you don't really want her. And that creates a dynamic that's toxic. You end up manifesting what you didn't want, which is her fucking some other guy or using the marriage just for the money because you never created an atmosphere. You never led. You're just thinking about yourself. But this is an example of looking to say no, not looking to say yes. If you don't feel like she's going to actually improve your life, then don't marry her. If you do feel that way, then jump in and don't be so neurotic about it. But stop looking for perfect people. There are no perfect people out there. There are people who work well with you and who offer you growth opportunities. I would like to see a lot more recklessness from people, a lot less uptight, judgmental neuroticism from a bunch of people who are producing fucking nothing in their dating lives. They are not getting married, they're not having kids. Most of them can't even be in a relationship. If that's you, take a good look at yourself in the mirror about what kind of fucked up attitudes you are bringing to the dating world. Focus a little less on red flags and a little more on creating positive vibes. Focus more on potential good, potential growth, potential advantage than potential problems. It doesn't mean that you ignore the potential problems. but that should not be your focus in a relationship. If you go through the course of a relationship wondering, well, what if she does this? What if she does that? What if you're a faggot? How about that? What if you're a faggot? That's what you sound like. Get over it. This is not a way to live. It's like somebody who's like got 3 masks on and won't leave their front door. That's what it sounds like to me. It's the romantic equivalent of that. You think you have all the time in the world, you're not moving forward at all. You're not creating any new adventures, any new memories. Even if you mess up, at least you learn something. You're not learning anything. So stop looking to say no. Start looking to say yes, and your life will change, your relationships will change. Everything will have a lot more energy and aura in it, and you'll actually find women are a lot more attracted to you and behave a lot more the way that you wish they would behave. More charity, more compassion, hold things a little lighter than you've been holding them because it really doesn't matter that much. You think that something bad happened to someone and it messes them up. You are much more messed up than somebody who's gone through life and accumulated some scars if you are too afraid to actually go out and step out there and do something. Because you're more of a coward, you're more neurotic, and you will have less to show. So get out there and actually create something. Create some love, create some good times. Because I'm telling you, man, life is entropy. You don't move forward. You have all this fear, so you don't do things. Your life will start to contract. All the possibilities will start to contract. You think you have a million options? You don't. You don't. Time will come for you. Don't you worry. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Same time, 10:30 a.m. Eastern. Dynamic Man Podcast. Take care, gentlemen.